Hello everybody, welcome back to my fifth video, part 4 of my review of my current classic cars, which is the Porsche Boxster S987 Gen 1, my Mark 1 Audi TT 3.2 V6 and my Mercedes-Benz SL 500 R230. However, part 5, I'm going to add in a fourth car, and it's a Japanese car, as you can see here. And I'm going to take a look at this, which is a car I've just recently bought, Mazda MX5, or it's actually a Japanese import this, so it's the Eunos Roadster. And the question really for this video is, can this budget 25-year-old car really compete with the three much higher, much more expensive German cars that are in the garage? Just a quick summary of the Mazda Mark 1, better known in MX5 terms as the NA. What it stands for, don't know. NA is Mark 1. The Mark 2s were MBs, the Mark 3s NCs, and the current 4th gen NDs. But this is the Mark 1, built from 89 through to 97 for 8 years. Combination of 1.6 and 1.8 4-cylinder engines, rear-wheel drive, 2-seater convertibles. This is the 1.8. And this is a 94 L plate with about 120,000 miles on. What's the first thing you notice about this car? Well, it's actually the size of it. And certainly if we park this next to any of the three German cars, it's just the size of it. It's just everything's scaled down by a factor. It's narrower, it's shorter, and it's lower. And everything is sort of a miniature version. But yet it's got these iconic look, 80s pop-up headlights. And I mean, truthfully, who doesn't want a car that's got pop-up headlights? Absolutely fantastic cars. And it's such a simple design. There's nothing flamboyant about this car. It's simple, it's functional, and it really is the polar opposite of something like the SL 500 with its huge complexity and lots of technology. This was as simple as you come. Low power, low speed fun. Really for the masses, and a very affordable sort of package. The alloys here, 14-inch alloys, which are not that much bigger, believe it or not, than the drill disc brakes of the Boxster S. This one comes with the mohair roof. It didn't when I first bought it a couple of months ago. It came with a vinyl roof, the plastic vinyl roof, a little bit more prone to cracking and ripping. So we've got a new mohair fitted with, they come in either glass or plastic windscreens as well. And this has got the glass windscreen fitted. All-round disc brakes. And actually it's a nice, tidy looking car. Let's just have a quick look inside. I'll go around the driver's side. And what you're going to see is what you expect from any type of Japanese car. It's black throughout, plastics. The seats are cloth material seats. But do you know what? 25 years old? Really? Look at the wear on that. They wear incredibly well. These cars were built to last a whole generation. Came fitted with the standard Momo steering wheel. Simple layout of the dash. 5-speed manual, and just tucked in behind the seats there with the roof up, you've got the option there for a small bag as well for stowage. So simple, functional. I'll just quickly pop open the boot. There's a boot release in here somewhere. That's what I've got that. And I'll just quickly pop the bonnet release as well, and we'll have a quick look at those. So the boot is not large. It's got, interestingly, the spare wheel, which takes up some space. But it's okay, you can get some supermarket shopping in there, you can get a few soft bags in there. It's big enough for a 2-seater. And then we'll just walk and have a quick look under the bonnet. And this is actually very interesting when you have a look here. Just get the catch. And that's unique for myself. because when I look at the TT, the Boxster S and the SL500, you just get huge plastic covers and you don't see the real engine there, and just the traditional 4-cylinder 1.8 engine. You can see the dipstick, new HT leads fitted. I've actually fitted a coil pack which I'll come on to shortly. Coolants there. Had a hose split as well, so I've had a couple of things to do in the first couple of months which I'll take you through. But it's as simple, it's traditional, it's the home mechanics type of engine. It doesn't, most of the stuff on this car doesn't frighten anybody that's any handy with any tools, unlike the other 3 German cars, which can be quite daunting. Let's have a look at, as I try to turn my sheet over, running costs. So like I do with all my cars, I try to look at the running costs and look at the strengths and weaknesses. Running costs, as I say, I only bought this about 2 months ago, so I've not really got much understanding yet on how much this car's going to cost to run. Paperwork was very thin for this car, and that's probably normal. It's 25 years old. You're not going to get, or very unlikely to get, a bucket full of receipts and servicing with a car this old. So as such, I've got nothing to go back on. So in truth, I can't tell you what it's cost in the last 3 years. But what I will do is I'll tell you what's gone on in the last 2 months, and then as well review this throughout the next 6 to 12 months, I'll keep you updating you to tell you what it's been like. I did own another MX5 1.8 UK spec many years ago, and I had that for 7 years, and it's the only car that I've owned for that long, and it was a fabulous, and I owned it for that long because it was a fabulous car and completely reliable, and it was cheap as chips. And do you know what? I'm hoping that this is going to be no different. What are the strengths of the MX5? Well, it's light, it's small, it's not fast, but that's a bonus because it means you can have great fun at low speeds. They're cheap to buy. I'm sure it's going to be cheap to run. And what car can offer roofless rear-wheel drive fun for £1,000? I mean, these are what the sort of the bottom of the markets. That's all they're fetching. Now, so usable ones, sort of 1 to 2k. Anything sort of 2 to 4k, you're going to be looking at really, really nice smart cars. So really affordable fun. And the best thing with the MX5 is that it's just a fun car. You can travel at 30 mile an hour, and it feels like you're going 60, because the problem with the German cars, they're just so powerful, they're too good for the road that you can't get really anywhere near the limit. Well, the MX5 you can, because you can have fun at 30 miles an hour. And that's the real benefit of this car. It's so fun all the time. And you can play with that car right on the limit, and you're not worried about what a catastrophic potential damage you're going to do to your pride and joy if you spin it and lose it on a roundabout. But what are the weaknesses? Well, I'm 6 foot tall, and I can just get in. I can just get inside. The steering wheel's a bit too low, I'm sat a bit too high, and there's no armrest because I don't need one, because there's no space for one, because my right elbow's on the door, my left elbow's normally on the passenger. If you're any bigger than 6 foot, and I'm sort of 15 stone, there ain't a lot of space in one of these, and you do feel comfortable when you're both sat by, you've got a passenger next to you. So it's quite a tight cabin, so try before you buy. Don't expect to beat lots of hot hatches and traffic lights, because you're not going to. So this 1.8 produces about 128 brake horsepower when it was new. That was 25 years ago, so it's probably not producing that now. And although it's light, it is absolutely no way is it a fast car. So it's slow by modern standards. But really, if that's what you're after, if it's all about speed, the MX5 isn't the car for you. The MX5 is just about having fun. What have I done to it since I've had the car? So when I bought the car, the vinyl roof, it had a couple of tears and rips in it. So I got a replacement mohair. I prefer the mohair roofs. Cloth, I think they're more durable, I think they look tidier and better. and I got a glass windscreen in there. And there's a guy in Swansea, Jack Trimmer, I think his name is. You can Facebook him, you can Google him, you'll get his details. He does a fantastic job. All that roof and the windscreen, fully fitted, £330. Fantastic, and highly recommended. I had a bit of an ignition problem when I bought the car, so changed the coil pack. Seems to have fixed it, and I had a slight seep on one of the hoses as well, so I've changed the hose. So those things, and now it's running absolutely pristine. But the big killer, the big danger when you buy one of these MX5s, the things you've got to look out for is rust. So typical MX5s, the ones that are actually getting scrapped because the chassis have been killed, and it's the wheel arches you've got to check for, and it's those sills as well, all on the sills. The problem with the MX5, it's not necessarily the sills on the outer side that you can see. They actually rust from the inside, so they can be really difficult to see. So all I can recommend is, if you can, you get under the car some rains, have a really good look with a torch, get around the car. Do you think that owner's done any rust prevention work? Has he done any work? Because these cars will rust and they'll just corrode away. So check for rust. That's my big comment on these when you go to buy one of these Mark 1s. The other one is that water drains. So I had a slushing sound coming when I bought the car, and it was slushing on the left-hand side, and that's because one of the drains, water gets into the sills, and it gets trapped in the sills, and under these sills, and I'm not sure you can see that. Can you see those sort of, just about there, there's some very tiny little drain holes. Get a small little screwdriver in there, poke them through, they get full of debris, water gets trapped in the sills, and they just hold the water, and that just accelerates the rusting. So you need to make sure those are clear. The other problem I had as well was water under the passenger seat, and that's because buried behind there, down there, is a drain on both sides, both the passenger and the driver's side. What you need to do is that drain goes all the way through and comes out underneath the car, and as the water goes onto your hood, it runs down to this recess, and then it runs down and goes into those drains, runs straight through the drains and comes out the bottom of the car. The problem is they get blocked, and there's a plastic flap halfway down as well, which stops road noise and debris coming back up the pipe. So what you've got to do is get something in the top and run it all the way through to make sure they're clean and running. Mine weren't. The passenger side was blocked, and because it was blocked, it just topped up with rain, and it filled the passenger side footwell. So check your drain holes, both for the sills and for the hood. There's loads of YouTube videos for that. So if anyone wants any tips, just message me and I'll speak to them. But you should be able to YouTube most of that. So that all sounds quite bad, really, because I've had the car and I've had water in the footwell, and I've had a coil pack, and I've had a new hood, but these are all teething problems that I knew I had to get fixed on the car. My experience is, it's Japanese, mid-90s. They built durable, reliable cars. They weren't built for 5 years. They were built for generation. So I'm hoping now, touch wood, that this car's going to run. And as I say, we'll see over the coming 6 to 12 months. Value for these, the MX5s or Eunoses, which are the Japanese, or the Miata, which was the US name for them, they were the highest selling sports car ever built. And there's something like 450,000 globally sold. So huge numbers, and really every village, every town in the UK has them. So the market is awash with these, and this is why the prices are so cheap. And ideally you want to be looking at probably about 2k for a good one. You can get them for about 1,000. You can get them for a bit less than that, and then much below £1,000 they almost become worth more as parts. So you'll see quite a lot there, and there's so many that have been scrapped because of rust. It means that there's spares everywhere, and I only googled last week about a spare 1.8 litre engine. You can pick them up for about 150 quid. So these are all really, really cheap and affordable. The different engines, 1.6, 1.8 engines, there's very little cost and value between them. So don't let that necessarily drive any extra cost when you're buying one of these cars. They go for similar amounts of money. The MX5s, you're unlikely to get any sort of, or certainly not full service history. You might get some with some service history. This didn't come with very much at all. Most don't come with very much at all because they're 25-year-old cars. So you don't really expect that. So it's not about the engine size. It's not about the colour or the spec or the hood. The key driver for the MX5 is the condition. And it's predominantly driven by the rust. So mechanically, they're robust and you can replace things and relatively cheap. Just check the chassis, check the sills, check the wheel arches, and make sure it's as rust-free as possible. Mazda did plenty and lots of special editions. So pay, yes, by all means, pay a little bit of a premium for a special edition, but don't think it's a special edition so there wasn't many of them. There were lots and lots of MX5s that came out special editions. So again, when you're buying, don't pay a significant premium for a special edition MX5. Can prices go any cheaper? Absolutely not. I mean, the prices now of MX5s have been bouncing along the bottom now for several years. They, as I say, bottom of the market's probably in the high hundreds, about £1,000. They go up to 2 for sort of a usable, good condition, all the way up to 4 if you want very good condition. And then I have seen a few up at the sort of N8, 10k, but they're extreme cars that have got extremely low mileage and are purely for the collectors. That's missing the point for me. This wasn't ever bought as a car to be put in the garage. This is a car that we're going to use 12 months of the year. I don't think we'll make money on this car. I've not bought it to make money on this car, but by its comparison, I don't think we'll lose anything on it. And it'll just we'll just keep running it, and hopefully it'll be very reliable as we go through the next 6 to 12 months. So, what's my summary? I've not had it long, as I say, but I think for me, the summary is if you want a rear-wheel drive, reliable roadster, 2-seater, that is not going to cost you the earth to run, then you've got a few choices. The probably direct comparator is probably the MGF, but they go slightly more, probably more sort of 2 to probably 5k. So, and that's probably because they're a little bit rarer, but you've got added complexity with those because they're mid-mounted engines. So again, it's for me, it's through and through, and I think the best driver's car is the MX5. Don't get me wrong, I've driven better cars. I know it's rear-wheel drive, I know it's light, but the driving position isn't great, and it can be a bit wallowy, and it's an old design. But it's just fun, and this car's much quicker. There'll be some diesel hot hatches that will just leave it at the lights. But do you know what? When you get out of this car, you'll be absolutely booming with laughter because it's so much fun. I said at the start of this video, can I compare this to my 3 German cars, the SL500, the Boxster S and the Audi TT? Well, do you know what? It's really difficult because this car's 10 years older than those 3 cars. And it actually drives more like 20 years older. And like I said, the driving position isn't great. It's slow by modern standards. But I'll tell you something, if you do measure thrills and spills by laughter alone, the MX5 can stand side by side with some of these more expensive German peers. And each time you go into that corner and you've overcooked it, you won't be straining with stress and anxiety and worried and panicking that you've got a potential expensive repair. All you'll be doing is having a whole host of fun and laughing while you're sliding the car around. So, come the winter and the bad weather, I will be using this car, and I'll be using it through all sorts of weather. And I just want to have a real boom on this and have a really great time driving it. So, that's it. That's my quick whistle around my new MX5. Let's hope it is as reliable. I've done everything that I need to do in it. So what I'm going to do next, my next video, which is going to bring the other 3 cars back with this, so it's going to be 4 of the cars then, and I'm going to pitch them all against each other, and I'm going to say, right, if you could pick one car, what would you pick? and we're going to compare them like for like. So, thanks for watching. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe, that's absolutely great. And I'll be releasing video 6 in the next 1 or 2 weeks. Thanks very much.